Hi, welcome to Healing Humanity. So, one of the things that's on my mind lately is drifting away from God, right? Drifting away from something that can lead you and guide you and direct you. And I watch as a lot of people today have drifted away. People are frustrated with the churches, they're frustrated with other people, they're frustrated with, people they're sitting next to in church that can be they're not for godly reasons, which is very disturbing, but it happens. Um, and so we tend to drift away. We get frustrated with it, and we get angry, and we drift. We go our own way. But the thing is, with that, is that the more we drift away from God, our Creator, the more difficult and toxic our thoughts become, because we're always looking for something. Everybody's looking for something. We're all looking for some form of healing in our lives, one way or another, and we are all searching for something. Now, you may think that you're not. You might throw yourself into work, or you might throw yourself into your friends, or school work, whatever it might be, your family even. All of these things can become crutches for you. So you're you're walking the path of toxicity, right? And that has to change, because the more that we have stress in our life and the more that that rises up within us, the more toxic our body becomes. I was listening to a video, I don't remember the name of it, but it was about how our thoughts affect our body, and they are like it changes our gene expression within our body. And so if you're thinking negative thoughts, or if you're searching for things that you feel like you're lacking, um, let's say perhaps you're um, being lazy or you're idle, those kinds of things can weigh heavy on your body. If you really want to be active, or you want to do things but you're just not, um, ungratefulness, bitterness, being proud or arrogant, um, just being downright wicked towards yourself or others, and unrepentant for your behavior, and being manipulative too. That's another big one. All of these things are really toxic, and they're really stressful on your body. That's not to say what it does to the person that you're attacking or the people that you're interacting with. They are affected by you as well. But if you are walking this path where you're using these kinds of traits to run your life, you're going to see inflammation in your body. You're going to find that over time, these things will turn into disease. Um, all of our diseases, cancer, everything, it has it has a biological reaction to the way your life is and your thoughts and what you take into your body. It is all interrelated, and we have to start thinking that way. You know, when I found out that I had breast cancer, I started looking into this, and over time, something came across my field of knowledge where I found out that the cancer that I had and the location in my body that it was happened to relate to problems with your mother. Now, that doesn't mean that if you never have problems, you're never going to get sick. I'm not saying that. But I am saying that there is a correlation between the two, and it's strong and it's proven. Eric Kendall won a Nobel Prize for his research on memory, and I'm just looking up his name. He was looking at how our social influences um, changes our actual gene expression. So the people you hang out with, affects your body and affects your mind. It affects your thoughts, right? Um, and we can either build that up and live a positive and loving life, or we can become it can become a destructive life. And by destructive I mean spiritually, emotionally, physically destructive. And I think about all the people, especially around here where I live, there's a lot of anxiety. People are filled with anxiety. They are filled with fear, and and it's so funny because they have so much money that's available to them, but the thing is that money cannot buy peace. There's two things that money can't buy: peace and everlasting life. And God insulates you with peace as long as you work with him, and then he'll gift you everlasting life as long as you continue to work with him. And what I don't understand is the thought process of continuing the heaviness, continuing all of these negative things in our lives. And I have to. One of the things I was thinking is, like, what if we went to the doctor one day and they realized that our thoughts do create, diseased gene expressions within us, and they finally acknowledge this. They finally, start to change the way that they treat human beings going forward. And so what if the doctor handed you a prescription and all it said was 2 times a day, understand Philippians 4:8, and I'll read that to you in a moment. And then, maybe 2 times a day, you have to read Romans 12:2. And, and that's all that's on the prescription. There's no medication. There's no magic pill. There's no counseling. It's just simply going to God and seeking his word and understanding it and applying it to your life. And then you start to heal. You start to get better. So Philippians 4:8, it says, finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. Now that is your prescription for the 2 times a day for the next year. And then the second prescription is Romans 12:2. Do not conform to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your own mind. And that's also 2 times a day for the next year. What if you were handed that prescription? Could you do it? Would you dive in knowing that the doctor prescribed this for you and he's saying that this is what's going to help you? Something to think about, right? Because at the end of the day, the more we drift away from God, the more we are going to seek man and seek the world to help us and guide us, and no, they're not going to take you down a path that's going to give you ultimate peace. Peace within your heart, peace within your life, peace within your mind. Man is never going to provide that for you. He also, even though there are things that man can help with, he can help with money, he can help with building systems and that kind of thing. Absolutely. I agree that is possible, but it comes at a massive price. A massive price. And you have to be very, very careful. So many people have lost their autonomy. They have lost their health, all for money. And at the end of the day, none of these people are at peace. They're enslaved to a system that just is not working anymore. And if you're part of that, I feel sorry for you. I do. And I think that if you can start to back away from that, if you can start to see life a little bit differently and know that there are prescriptions in one book that can actually free you from all of that, all of it. But you have to not play along. You have to not conform to man and to the world, just like Romans 12:2 says. Do not be conformed. Renew your mind. Find a different way. Start to think positive. Change your gene expression within your body, because the minute you do that, the easier it becomes for God to get involved in your life. When you start to see the good, and when you start to see the funny or the positive in any situation as much as possible, and things happen, granted, you're going to get angry, you're going to get frustrated, there's going to be things that will happen, absolutely. But when you are able to process it quickly and find the good and know that whatever's happening is happening for your better or your betterment, it does bring a sense of peace that is unlike anything that man or the world could ever give you. And if you would just take a moment, really just take a moment on a weekend, someday when you're bored, take a look at the history of the concept of an everlasting life, what the Bible says about it, what the Egyptians said about it, what the Cathars said about it, what all these other groups have said about it. That is something that awaits you if you work on the things that God guides you to work on. If you try to stay active with him and to work with him, he will insulate you with peace, and he'll grant you that everlasting life. And that's what we're all here to do, is to fix ourselves, to wake up fully, wake up to what is before us, what is all around us, what is available for you and me. Not available through man, not available through systems, corrupt or not. Systems and fellow humans are not going to be able to give you that everlasting life at all. Jesus in Mark 11:17-18, Jesus was teaching in the temple courts, and he said, my house will be called a house of prayer for all nations. And that's what's being worked out now. You can see it everywhere. But you have made it a den of robbers. I could go on about that, but I won't. The chief priests and the teachers of the law heard this and began to look for ways to kill Jesus. They feared him because the crowd was amazed at Jesus' teachings. And how profound that is, because if that man came back today, if Jesus was walking this earth and you met him today, and he told you the things that I'm telling you, and he said to you, you believe. That's all it takes, is your belief and your prayer, and to live a righteous life, to do your best to live a righteous life. I mean, there's even his disciples, faltered and failed a number of times, but they still are walking with him even to today. Something to really think about, something that I encourage you to research on your own, because if that truly is available, and it is, wouldn't you want that? Wouldn't you want to stop these den of robbers and walk with Jesus, and to make sure that you have an everlasting, that your soul is protected for eternity? Just the last verse I'll leave you with. John 15:5. I am the vine, you are the branches. Whoever abides in me, and I in him, It is He that bears much fruit. For apart from me, you can do nothing. That's the kind of life that I want. And that's the kind of life that I hope you want eventually too. You know, if you can climb out of the toxic thoughts, start focusing on reducing your stress, reducing the negativity and the manipulative ways that you are showing up in the world, the better off you're going to be, because God will then start being able to work with you. And you'll start to see it. I guarantee it, especially nowadays. So, anyway, I'll leave that with you. I wish you luck.